Hello and welcome to the Fireside Chat with Click and Grow. My name is Dasha and I'm the social media manager for Click and Grow. And today we are here to discuss a very important topic of the role diet plays in human health. We know that nutrition is a very important part of our lives, but we don't always know how to do it right, how to eat better, and how to eat greener. Our goal at Click and Grow is to help people to eat better. And we are here to discuss how to do it from a practical perspective. We have a special guest with us today, Marta Velgan, who is a medical doctor, a general practitioner, a PhD candidate at the University of Tartu, a lecturer, a speaker, and also a big advocate for plant-based nutrition and lifestyle medicine. Hi Marta, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We are very glad that we can hear a doctor, a practitioner, talking about nutrition and health and how to actually understand what are the obstacles for people to start eating better and healthier.
I love to speak about nutrition, so I'm very happy to talk to you today.
We are happy to hear your opinion. I think we can start from a very big and global question. So it's quite alarming to see the numbers of this prevalence of lifestyle-associated diseases nowadays. So the numbers of people with obesity, with cardiovascular diseases, with different types of cancers are growing pretty rapidly. And there is basically a big question mark of how can we stop that from happening. So you as a doctor talking to patients on a daily basis, do you see those as the biggest threats to human health in the 21st century?
Yeah, I mean, we can look at people's health from different point of views and also try to measure it with different indicators. If we look at the life expectancy at birth, it seems that people are living longer and it's very good that they are living longer. Mm-hmm. Although with COVID, the numbers have changed a bit, but in general, we are living longer than ever. But life expectancy doesn't explain everything. We know that we are living longer, but we don't know if a longer life means a healthier life, mm-hmm. or how long are we living healthy in general. So that's why some researchers and practitioners like to use healthy life years, which mm-hmm. Shows exactly how many years people live without any disabilities, which means how long they live healthy. And although the life expectancy in general has been growing in most countries, healthy life years, it's another story. It doesn't grow with the same pace as life expectancy. In some countries, it just fluctuates mm-hmm. Around the same number for years. Mm-hmm. And also in some countries, it is decreasing. So although we are living longer, we tend to live longer with disabilities. Mm-hmm. And it's a very big burden for healthcare, but for society in general as well.
Mm-hmm. And by disabilities, you basically also mean these lifestyle-associated diseases.
Yeah. So the main disabilities, but also if we want to see what are the main diseases, we can look at also what are the main reasons why people are dying. Mm-hmm. And we know that in Western countries, the main reasons, or the reason number one, or the killer number one, is cardiovascular diseases, so mm-hmm. stroke and ischemic heart diseases. But on the second place, it's also cancer. And right now we know that almost all cases of cardiovascular disease are actually preventable. Mm-hmm. So people don't need to die of cardiovascular diseases. And in case of cancer, around third or half of the cancers are preventable. Mm-hmm. So people think that it's inevitable that they will going to die from chronic disease, but it's actually not so.
Mm-hmm. So if we're talking numbers here, how many of the, for example, cardiovascular diseases can be prevented?
So research says like 80 to 90%, but also mm-hmm. some doctors say it can be 100%, because if we look at some subgroups, for example, people who eat whole food, plant-based diets, they probably mm-hmm. will not get any cardiovascular disease. So for them, it's 100% preventable.
So that actually does offer some hope. Would you say that about this lifestyle-associated diseases in our Western countries? So diet is an important factor, but what are the main risk factors for them? So how can we prevent them? How should we behave? What should we do to actually not get into this trap?
Yeah, so when I was a medical student, our professors told us that there's like 3 big health determinants or 3 big things that influence people's health. That first is genetics, and the second is environment around us, but also our own behavior, and the third is healthcare. People like to think or believe that genetics is the most important one, but it's actually not true. Genetics does play a role, but not as a big one as people think. And I think that people want to hide behind genetics so they don't need to do any changes in their lifestyle. And the other part is healthcare. I think healthcare is one of the reasons why we are living so long with disabilities, because medicine is great at managing different chronic conditions and letting those people live longer. But it's not very good at preventing those diseases or helping people live healthy longer.
Yeah.
And we know that environment is the number one determinant of health, that it's the biggest influencer of our health. And in environment there are different things. One thing is our behavior, the other thing is the environment around us. For example, also the income of a country can determine quite a lot one's health, but also how many close friends or family we have, what is our income, what is our education, and etc. But if we look at closer on the health risk factors, there is quite a lot of data on that, and one of the biggest studies that has looked into risk factors is Global Burden of Disease study, which has gathered data from more than 200 countries on risk factors, the causes of death, and etc. So this is something that if somebody is interested, you can look at it because it's available on internet.
Offers a lot of data.
Yeah, and it's for free, and they have very good visual tools as well to actually look at it. And if we look at the Western countries, there is you can take the top 10 health risk factors, and usually in that top 10 we will find some metabolic risks like high blood pressure, high body mass index, but also high blood glucose and cholesterol level. And on the other side, there's also behavioral risk like tobacco and alcohol use, but also diet. Although we know that the metabolic risks like high blood pressure and body mass index
by diet.
are also very largely influenced by diet. So the diet plays a huge role in the risk factors of our health. And you can also take a look deeper what is in the dietary risks, and then we will see that it's mainly because people eat not enough plants.
Okay, so basically, human health as we see it it's quite largely influenced by different factors. So genetics is not the main thing. It is very important, but it's our environment that actually pulls the trigger for a certain disease to develop, or on the contrary, not develop in the same person. Yeah,
so it depends on the environment. If the environment helps the people to stay healthy, or the environment influences the people to be less healthy, be obese, or so.
Yeah, so environment also kind of predefines the diet. But when we're talking about the diet, which is at the cornerstone apparently of most of the lifestyle-associated diseases, there are certain dietary patterns that have proven to be very beneficial for human health, such as we all have heard about Mediterranean diet or vegetarian diet. So these diets, like all they have in common is they're very rich in plants, what is there exactly that helps us to manage or prevent different diseases?
So if we go back to the global burden of disease studies, as I said, that the most risk factors are related to people not eating enough plants. So the first thing is actually low whole grain consumption, also not enough fruits, not enough vegetables, not enough nuts and seeds, not enough legumes. So these are the main things why people get those diseases. And if we take studies which have looked at people who eat enough plant-based foods, then we find that vegetarians and especially vegans have a lower risk of the same diseases, of cardiovascular diseases, of diabetes, but also of some cancers. There's 2 large studies, observational studies, which have observed tens of thousands of people for decades and tried to find out which kind of health risk factors people tend to get. And the one is Epic Oxford study, the other is Health Adventist 2 study, which also the data is available on internet and everybody can look at it and be sure that it's correct. And they found that if we take a look at people who eat regular diets, people who eat vegetarian diets, people who eat vegans, vegans tend to have lower body mass index, and usually the only group who is in normal range with body mass index, but also lower glucose level, lower cholesterol level, lower blood pressure, and all this kind of metrics.
So basically the evidence and the scientific studies are there to prove that plant-rich diets are the healthiest. So we know it from the health point of view, but I think it's also important to mention that it also has to be healthy for our planet. So is there basically the optimal or the best model for our diet, for nutrition, that is both beneficial for human health but also for planetary health?
Yeah, so I think it's good that in I think the last years or maybe a decade we have understood that food plays a big role in environment and also sustainability. That the way that we grow food or what we eat can influence quite a lot of our planet's health, and also researchers have taken more interest in that, and so there are many studies that have been published in I think the recent 5 years. And the first study was in 2016, and it said that if everybody goes vegan, that will be great. But I think not everybody is ready for that. And so quite recently in 2019, and I think because of COVID, maybe the study didn't get as much attention as it should. The commission of EAT-Lancet actually published their report on the diet, which is both good for our planet and our health, and it's mostly plant-based diet. If somebody is interested, if you put EAT-Lancet, you will find a graphic of the diet which they recommend. So I think like 80-90% of the food that we eat each day should be plant-based, so our planet will survive next decades. But in general, the better suggestion should be that everybody should go 100% plant-based, because they didn't think that people will go for that. They still left some animal products in that diet.
That's quite interesting to hear, but also to compare what is the real life situation, which is, for example, in the US, that only 1 in 10 people that eat the recommended amount of fruit and vegetables daily. So there is like quite a gap between how we should be eating and how we're currently eating, or at least most of the people.
Yeah, and also current dietary guidelines in different countries. For example, if we take a look at the Estonian ones or some other countries, it's around 75 and 25%. So 75% should be plant-based. But if we look at how people actually eat, it's maybe the other way around. So 25% is plant-based, and the other 75% is animal products. So it is a bit different. And also, our current dietary recommendations are not as maybe sustainable as they should be. And also, if we analyze them, they are not as healthy as they should be.
I see. Well, that is quite sad to hear. But on the other hand, you as a doctor, being equipped with all this knowledge and of the real picture of how we should be eating, how do you actually act, or how do you recommend your patients to change their diets? How do you even find out how they're currently eating?
Maybe because it's an interest of mine, I quite often ask about diet, or in the situation that I see that the diet can play a big role. For example, the same diseases that we mentioned, if a person is diagnosed with hypertension or type 2 diabetes, doctors should assess their risks to understand what are the driving risks for that disease. And also people who just come to health checkups, as diet is something that is very important. I usually ask about their diet. And something that I find funny is that usually when I ask them how would you describe your diet, they usually say normal, which is...
well, that's not very information rich for sure.
Yeah, normal or healthy, but it doesn't usually... it isn't the same picture, healthy as it is for me. So we usually take a deeper look at what they eat and how it connects with actually the dietary guidelines, or in general the idea of healthy diet.
So you would actually ask people to kind of describe what they're eating on a regular basis.
Yeah, because people, if you ask like how they eat, they don't know. It's normal. The diet is normal. But I usually ask what they eat for breakfast, what is the regular, I don't know, dish or food they eat at lunch and at dinner. And then and also if they don't mention any vegetables or fruit, I have to ask specifically, because usually it's not the first thing that they mention.
So basically, now that we know that it's not that easy to motivate people and that they describe their diet as normal, so still we would be very happy to hear your practical tips and your best advice on how can we actually start eating greener and better, and what are the ways to do it, even though we know it's pretty hard.
I think one thing which I see with my patient is people don't really think about their diet, or even they don't acknowledge that they eat something, or if you ask what they eat, they have to think for quite a long time. So sometimes I think it would be helpful if they would, I don't know, keep a food diary, or just try to realize or see what they are eating, and be more aware what they are eating and why they are eating in that way. Is it like more a convenient way to eat for them, or are there any other reasons why they choose the food that they are choosing? So and then to see what kind of changes they see themselves they can make, because it's often very difficult for me to advise, because I don't know really how this person is living their life. But we also know that it's more difficult to change completely, at once. So and it's more difficult to take something away, but easier to actually include something to the diet they are already eating. So to see if they can include some vegetables or berries or fruit or nuts and seeds to their existing diets, to the dishes and foods they're eating.
Small additions to every meal, for example.
Yes, if I'm usually asking what they eat for breakfast, if they eat oatmeal, it's the easiest way to make oatmeal. Even healthier if you add some berries if they like sweet oatmeal, or vegetables, or a salad if they like a savory one, and also to add some nuts and seeds, which is very easy. Sometimes, if they eat eggs and bacon, it can be a bit more difficult, but to add a salad to that is already a better choice than having that without the salad. So to see if there is any ways to incorporate vegetables already to the meals they are eating. And quite often
easy swaps that you can recommend.
Quite often people eat lunch at work or in a cafe or something like that. So I see that it's easier to eat maybe healthier outside of home because somebody else is preparing. So if there are any ways or any possibilities to switch that to maybe choose a plant-based option or vegetarian option at the cafe, or to buy like a ready meal or take some food to go, because then they don't have to have all these ingredients and stuff at home. So they can switch up every day if they don't like what they ate the last day. So
this convenience factor, I mean, it's really big for modern consumers. Like, you want to have this food ready, available, and at hand, and we also want to have healthy option at hand. As you say, it's thankfully a lot of these ready-made meals are changing for the better, but also if we're talking home cooking, this is also like our ultimate goal at Click and Grow, is to have basically fresh greens at hand at any point for people to be able to incorporate them to every diet. And as you say, just add like a bunch of salad to your dinner or lunch plate, which is super easy because as far as I know, like leafy greens is also like a very important part of a healthy diet.
Yeah, dark leafy greens, the research suggests are the most healthy, the healthiest vegetables you can have because they are green and they contain a lot of like antioxidants. But it depends on where are you living. For example, in Estonia, if you go to a supermarket, the availability is quite low and quite bad compared maybe to some other countries. So, and also leafy greens are something that maybe people are not very used to eating because they don't know how to incorporate them into their diets.
So you should have them inside and at hand basically, and that's how you can basically just grab and take it. And would it be something that you would recommend to your patients to actually start growing some of their food at home and to have those salads to be ready to add to their meals?
I mean, I see people eating healthier usually during summertime because it's easier to get like fresh foods maybe from their garden and also from, I don't know, their parents' garden and like that, because it's also kind of free food. So, but in winter time it's very difficult to grow outside. So, so it would be much easier to grow indoors if you have like a system for that, how to grow it. But definitely, if people see vegetables, see fruits, they will eat them more than if they are at supermarkets.
Yeah, so it's like this kind of little prompt that might help you to eat better and to have more greenery in your diet. And this is ultimately what we are striving for as consumers, to add more greenery to your diet, to eat more plants, and to basically be in line with the dietary recommendation, with the planetary recommendations, and
to be more healthier.
To be healthier, always. Thank you so much, Marta. It was great to have you here, and we really hope that our viewers and our customers will listen to your advice and actually start eating healthier, start eating better, and especially add more greens to their diet. This is one of the tips should be listening to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you have decided to embark on a green eating journey and start eating better and healthier, the Click and Grow 25 is the ultimate solution for you. This system allows you to grow fresh greens on a continuous basis with its patented tray system, where you plant the new batch of plants every week and keep them growing on a rotation. The Click and Grow 25 also has a handy tray system which allows you to take the full batch of grown plants to your kitchen countertop and keep them fresh for a week. The Click and Grow 25 also has 3 modules that allows you to grow from 25 to 75 plants at the same time and cover the needs for you and your family. There is also a companion app that shows you when is the right time to harvest your greens, fill the water tank, or adjust the light schedule. So if you have been thinking about starting to eat better and have your own fresh greens at home, you can now do it with the Click and Grow 25.